In today's lesson, you will learn about measures of central tendency, also known as mean, median, mode, and range. Your learning target says, I can accurately calculate the measures of central tendency and range from a data set. Make sure that you have the note sheet that I had out today that goes with this lesson. You're going to be filling in the blanks that I have from this presentation. First, let's talk about calculating the mean. So to calculate the mean, and usually the mean is what people mean when they're talking about an average. To calculate this, you have to add all the data points and then divide by the number of pieces of data. So in real life, these are things like how your grade gets calculated or sports statistics get calculated. Now, there's something called an outlier. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. It is a data point that's way different from the rest of the data points, and it has an effect on this measure of central tendency. So if you have an outlier, using the mean probably is not the best choice. Next, let's get some background information about a median. To calculate the median, one must, and this is where kids make a mistake, must put the data in order from smallest to largest and then determine the middle number. Now, if there are two numbers in the middle, you're going to find the middle of those two numbers. In real life, the median is used when we're talking about a house or a car price. We know that there are really, really cheap houses and cars, and we know there are really, really expensive houses and cars, but we want to know the middle type price, and so that's the median. And because you're finding the middle number, this outlier that I talked about earlier, it doesn't have any effect. So if you have outliers, the median might be your best choice for the measure of central tendency to use. The mode. To calculate the mode, one must determine which number or numbers, if any, occur more than the others. You could have one mode, you could have no modes, you could have multiple modes. So in real life, this is used when we're talking about what's your favorite or which person got the most votes. Outliers should have no effect on this measure of central tendency. You'll just have to be careful and check that out. All right, let's talk about range. To calculate the range, one must subtract the smallest data point from the largest data point. So range is not technically a measure of central tendency, but since it's used in statistical analysis, we're going to go ahead and talk about it in this lesson. And outliers will affect the range. As I said earlier, an outlier is a data point that is very different from the rest of the data. It's either extremely low or extremely high compared to the rest. It may mess up your measures of central tendency, so you have to be careful when you see outliers in your data. So let's start calculating. Martin is training for a marathon. The following table shows the total number of miles he has run each week for the first 6 weeks of his training. So you'll see in our table, week 1, he ran 47 miles, week 2, 35 miles, week 3, 53 miles, and so forth. So we are going to calculate each of these things. We're going to round to the nearest tenth if necessary. All right, so we're going to show our work because that is super important. So to find the mean, if you remember back, I'm going to take each of these data points and I'm going to add them together. And I'm going to pause for a second. I'm going to calculate, you calculate, let's get a total. Come back when you have yours. So when I added them all up, I got 290. But that's only the first step. I'm going to take that 290 and I'm going to spread it equally over my 6 weeks. And so when you take 290 and spread it evenly among your 6 weeks, you're going to get a crazy number, 48.333333 until the end of time. And so it says round to the nearest tenth. So we're going to say he averaged about 48 38.3 miles each week of his training. So that was the mean. Add them all up, divide by however many pieces of data you have. All right, median. Median, we have to put things in order. So it looks like, let me change my colors. It looks like 35 was the shortest distance, followed by 47 once and 47 twice. And then we had 52, 53, and 56. All right, so it's important to put them in order from smallest to largest. And now we're just going to do this. One off the front, one off the back. One off the front, one off the back. Now remember, I said if you had two in the middle, you have to find what's exactly between them. If you're not sure what's exactly between them, you could find the mean of them. You could take 47 plus 52 and divide that in half. So either you can just look at it and you know what's in the middle, or you can average those two middle numbers. But the median is going to end up to be 49.5 miles. That is the middle of our data. All right, mode. I want to know which happened most often. And something interesting happens when you put things in order. You get to see which has been paired up or happens more often. So in my numbers, it looks like 47 happened twice. That is more than any other number. So the mode is 47 miles. So your work on median can actually be your work for mode as well. And then finally, our range. We're going to take our highest number, which we can get from our median list, 56, and subtract our smallest number, again, from the median list because we did our work right here. And all you do is you subtract them. So 56 minus 35 is 21 miles. All right, mean, median, mode, and range. All right, it's time for you to practice this one by yourself. So it says Morgan read the following minutes for her reading log this week: 25, 40, 30, 40, and 30. I want you to find the mean, median, mode, and range for this data. Pause while you're working, and then come back for checking. So I started with the mean. I'm going to add my numbers together, and that gives me, when I add 25, 40, 30, 40, and 30, I get 165. We're going to divide that evenly among the 5 days. And it looks like Morgan read an average of 33 minutes per day. That is the mean. For the median, I put them in order. I went 25, 30, 30, 40, 40. I'm just going to go front, back till I find the middle. Cross the front, cross the back. Cross the front, cross the back. There it is. When there's only one number in the middle, that's your answer. The median is 30 minutes. Next, I'm going to do the mode, and I can just look at my list, and it looks like 30 happens twice and 40 happens twice. That's more than the 25 equal to each other. So I actually have two modes, 30 minutes and 40 minutes. And finally, I'm going to do range, and I'm going to use my list over here again. Highest number is 40, lowest number is 25. So if I take 40 minus 25, I will get 15 minutes. That's the difference between, having the highest amount and the lowest amount. On this one, I've done some of the work for you. It says Sean kept track of the lengths of the television commercials during a 1-hour program. He found that 5 commercials were 30 seconds long. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 10 commercials were 15 seconds long. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 2 commercials were 60 seconds long, 1, 2, and 1 was 90 seconds long. And so I already did this work for you. For the mean, I added all these numbers up and I divided by however many I had, and it came out to be 28 3/10 seconds. And I put them in order from smallest to biggest, and I went front, back, front, back, front, back until I got to the center, and that was 15 seconds. And out of these two, I want to know which measure is the more accurate representation of the lengths of the commercials. So if I looked at this mean, if I went way back to my notes, I said if I had an outlier, mean was probably not the thing to use. And so if I put these in order, I had my 10, 15s, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Do I have 10 there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I had my 530s, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I had my 260s, and I had a 90. And my problem is this 90 right here. There's only one of them, and it's way off of the rest of my data. Most of my data is down here in the 15 to 30 range. Even the 60s possibly could be outliers because there's only 3 of these high numbers, whereas all the rest of them are low numbers. So I'm going to say we have outliers here, and that in that case, a mean is not going to be good. In this case, because there are outliers, you should use the median as your most accurate representation of the lengths of the commercials. So it's time for our 5 questions. So get your paper ready. You're going to have your first and last name, date, period number up in the corner, and then make sure that you have a heading so I know what paper I'm looking at. You're going to do your work on the right-hand side, and your answers will go on the left. This table shows the cost of various board games. Calculate the mean for this data. Round your answer to the nearest tenth if necessary. You're going to pause me while you show your work and calculate your answer. Tomorrow I will give you no credit if I see no work. When you're ready for question number 2, come back. Video question number 2 uses the exact same data. I still have my table showing the cost of various board games. For question number 2, I want you to calculate the median for this data and round your answer to the nearest tenth if necessary. You're going to pause me while you show your work and calculate your answer. Without work, I'm not going to give you credit tomorrow. Video question number 3 again uses the same data. This time I want you to calculate the mode for this data. Question number 4, same data. Calculate the range for this data. You're going to show your work and write your answer. Without work, there's no credit tomorrow. Okay, question number 5. Guess what? Same data. The question is, would the mean, median, or mode best represent the costs? Explain your answer. So you're going to tell me either mean, median, or mode, and why you made that choice in sentence form. Hold on to your paper when you're done. You're going to turn it in at the beginning of class tomorrow.